Alright. Finally back at it. For the final case of Ace Attorney, well, the Great Ace Attorney 1's story. And then after we complete the final episode of the first Great Ace Attorney game, there's gonna be probably gonna be a break between this and the second Great Ace Attorney game, just so I don't get super burned out. So yeah, it's gonna be playing some Pokemon Rejuvenation, a very popular Pokemon fan game that has interactive story decisions that can affect the outcome of the narrative, which has been a while since I've actually played a game like that with the Ace Attorney grind I've been on. But without further ado, let's continue.
It's coming! Sholmes' cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistol as I cocked it, and I waited, breathlessly, in the stillness. The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us. A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames. Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. "Look well, Wilson," Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. "For this is the diabolical hound of the Baskervilles."
Hound of the Baskervilles. Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. In that disconcerting courtroom experience we were first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country, and in Soseki-san's terrible ordeal that had followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court, which was hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. 15th of April, 9:13 a.m. Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy. Oh, yeah. They've definitely been kidding out the place. That morning, I was woken by an unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy. But after he'd gone, Susato-san's behavior became very obviously strange. Susato-san?
Yes? Is it time to leave for court already? Let me see. What case is it today?
I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I?
Oh, no, of course not. How silly of me.
But I think Iris said she would make us breakfast this morning. So shall we go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite?
Yes. Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food.
She does, doesn't she?
And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in fighting fit form. Let me see. What case is it today?
Here we go again. So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean.
Oh, a telegram? I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, but you're not going to get away with that.
Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. It was just a boring old telegram.
That's 3 times now that she's tried and failed to convince me it was nothing.
I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point.
Alright, I understand. I suppose Saseki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he?
Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which would mean he should have completed the voyage already, or be just a few days away.
A fortnight ago, we had a very long telegram from him. Do you remember? Complaining of seasickness? But by and large, it seems the voyage has been going well.
There's something about Naruhodo-san.
I was just wondering, what might have become of Saseki-san had he stayed in London, that's all.
You mean, as regards Lord Van Zeeks, the Reaper?
Yes, I can't help wondering if seasickness would have paled into insignificance in that case. What is it they say? That no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Like the way that nightmare's trial ended on the very day we arrived in London.
Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery.
Yes, but at least Saseki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably that means...
that the curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the city of London, perhaps.
Even if that's the case, it's little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding.
If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields the Sword of Justice himself.
Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past 2 months. Surely, out wielding that sword against more acquitted defendants.
No, I don't think so. Apparently, Lord Van Zeeks has appeared in court once since our last encounter.
Oh,
Yes, since the Saseki-san's trial, he's withdrawn from the judicial services again, it seems.
really? Just like before, when he wasn't seen in court at all for several years. So, it's just been me who has had to face him in his recent spate of trials then. Just my luck.
I wonder if luck doesn't come into it.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
April, Shones is sweet.
Morning, Runo. Morning, Susie. Good morning, Iris.
Iris?
What is it, Runo?
What is that terrible noise? Sounds like a cat being strangled.
Ah, yes. You noticed that, did you?
Yeah, I imagine Shones is playing the violin.
Ellie is in the best form in this morning, it seems.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Sholmes.
Good morning. Man, what voice do I give for a depressed Sholmes? Because he's always so upbeat like this. However, he's like more depressed, so,
A good morning to die, perhaps.
Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable, and the way you were playing the violin before...
My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Damn this blanched existence! That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence. I'm afraid I don't understand. Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? some dry toast and insipid coffee for me, if it's not too much trouble.
Oh, there's a cat. Oh, look, it's Wagahai.
Good morning, boy.
That must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. But how did it get there?
Well then, everyone, it's time for breakfast. Oh, wonderful. Let me help you, Iris. It would indeed be a fine day to die.
I knew something looked different. Something's missing from Mr. Sholmes' desk. You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mr. Sholmes. What's happened?
It used to be the case that in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn chorus. Its melissonant tones would make flowers bloom.
It would?
But now, the muses are unamused with me. The goddesses of music have thrown me over. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? For hours I have bowed, for days even. Through the night I have endeavored, to no avail. That sound, my tone, is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone. Gone forever! No more recitals of unbridled information! Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Early?
Don't worry, I'm sure it'll come back to you in time.
Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius upon a man, the next day unmercifully withdraw it.
Oh, dear.
Ah! Why is this happening to me? If they take the turn I have for the violin from me, what is left, for pity's sake? What is left?
Deduction perhaps? Is that what you're known for?
Mr. Sholmes, I'd like to pry, but your desk looks rather empty today. Ah, well done, Mr. Sato. Your observational skills do you credit. Oh no, Mr. Sholmes. They pale into insignificance when compared to yours.
You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you?
You mean Harry's great analytoscope? That's at Windy Bank now.
Sorry? It's at a windy bank?
No, Windy Banks. The pawnbrokery.
Pawn?
What?
You mean you've pawned that enormous machine of yours?
It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly. But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed a little income I have to you. Dear madam, things are far from desperate. But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How could it be anything but desperate? Making use of a pawnbrokery is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you.
It is. It doesn't sound ordinary at all.
It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works.
Oh? What's to understand exactly? What do you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works?
To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks. Banks? On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they're able to trade happily through the week. And then on Saturdays, they go recover their things using the money they've earned. I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us. Everyone does it, you see.
Everyone does it, you see. Especially people in inner London.
And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn, should the need arise. Oh, how ingenious.
So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at the window backs, you see.
A pawnbrokery can be thought of as an extremely secure vault.
I would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain.
Of course, you'd have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley?
Did he pawn it on accident?
What does it matter? The world is dead to me now.
Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled into his new home then. Oh, that's Natsume. Oh, that's Saseki's cat.
Oh yes, I've become very attached to little Waggy.
You don't know what to pair. His previous owners completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their mews are as empty as the hearts of the muses.
If Mr. Natsume had no mention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept it in the first place.
I expect he would have taken him if he could, but pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience.
And for good reasons. Terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed.
Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable.
Yes, he really is. Oh yes, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny thing in the main door before. Where did that come from?
Oh, you noticed? You are observant, Runo. Look, I use this. That's my latest invention.
What is that?
I call it the Cat Flapper-Mat.
Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats?
That's right. We can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. And it can do it in any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see.
Wouldn't it have been quicker to just make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap?
Well, yes, maybe. But now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door of our office upstairs, Iris.
She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. Oh.
Oh, what was that?
Wagga hi.
What was that?
Oh no! Wagga hi's tangled up in your violin.
I think he thinks it's a toy.
No! What's he doing to it?
Oh dear, Mr. Jones's precious violin. Why should I care?
What?
I shouldn't be surprised. If the cat is a more accomplished musician than I now. Mr. Jones really is in poor spirits, isn't he?
Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives. Shall I, Hurley?
Out of the cat's reach if possible. Maybe we should assess the damage. So this is the violin, is it?
It's a Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari.
Oh, I see. It It doesn't really look like anything special to me.
I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings.
How honorable of you.
And until today, it has been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I have made. I ask you, is there a reason to live in a world devoid of music, to tolerate this blanched existence? No. There is none.
Mr. Sholmes.
What, dear madam, what? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine.
Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think? What do you mean, Mrs. Otto?
Oh, Susie's right. Yes. The tone of the wood is completely different.
And that's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it?
What's this?
I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all.
Then what?
I believe it's an entirely different instrument called a viola.
What?
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, are you right?
You're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what, pray, is this piece of string flotsam?
Not your faithful performing partner, then?
I see what must have happened.
You do, Iris?
This is just a simple mix-up.
It sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if we asked her. Is it the cat around here? What did you mean by a mix-up, Iris?
Well, you see, this viola, I mean, was at Windybank's until last week.
At the pawnbrokers? No, Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner.
There is a proverb from the East with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel.
Yes, indeed. So you send your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in hope that it would experience personal growth? Oh, what a wonderful idea.
Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument, but it would appear Mr. Windybank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber.
No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it just had strings.
Psh! A fine state of affairs this is! And why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try to fiddle you every time.
But earlier you told us that you couldn't think of a pawnbrokery as an extremely... But earlier you told us that you could think of a pawnbrokery as an extremely secure vault.
Come, Naruhodo, dilly-dallying will get you nowhere.
Sorry?
Crunching your toes with that vacant aspect, pressing your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which we are faced?
We must visit Mr. Windybank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes?
Precisely, Mrs. Sato, without a moment's delay.
But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs.
My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to press your eggs over more obtusely.
Alright, say no more, let's go then.
Don't worry, Reno, I'll be happy to heat it up for you again later.
Oh, Thank you, Iris. As it happens, I'm rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker looks like. Oh, Baker Street's open again.
"15th of April, Winterbank's Pawnbroker, 3.
So this is a British pawnbrokery.
Oh my, there are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I never laid my eyes on before.
Ah, Susato-san, and that spark of wonder in your eyes. Can't wait to scour the shelves, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this.
Oh yes, I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things that I don't understand is a real thrill for me. My dear fellows, let us not forget why we are here.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes.
You're calling on matters of business, not pleasure.
And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business, too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes.
Mr. Sholmes, sir. Welcome back.
Did you hear that brazen welcome?
Well, yes, we are potential customers after all.
We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruhodo, and it's time to inform Mr. Winterbank of our ire. Come, the fight is afoot.
Actually, I think maybe instead of this voice, I could try more this voice, because it seems like it'll fit this guy more.
Naturally, you will recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago.
Yes.
The second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Winterbank. The color of the wood is different. It has holes in it. It's not even the same size.
A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me. An excusable mistake of a pawnbroker. There is only one way to make amends. What? Don't bro, oh shit. I shall have to take my own life.
I don't think that will be necessary, do you?
If I may just say one thing before I pop off.
Ah, yes?
It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe.
Sorry?
As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch the violin when I heard, "Ah, here it is."
You did?
And when I turned to controvert you, you had taken the violin enough, sir. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing you to leave, so I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me.
No, stop it, you fellow! The fault is mine!
Oh. It would appear that the fight is over.
I do humbly apologize, Mr. Winterbank. Evidently my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy.
Well, you wouldn't be Mr. Herlock Sholmes without that questionable disposition now, would you?
I do believe you may be right, sir.
It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. You are, it must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I needn't remind you of the peculiar collection of items you brought through my door in the past.
Oh, peculiar items?
In the extreme, for example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Herlock Sholmes or some such.
Oh my, a new, fully fledged novel? And unpublished? A story I've yet to read, you mean?
Forgive me.
Wait, before you die, you must tell me more. I must know more. Tell me everything.
Wow, Susanna-san is really fired up now.
Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof?
Well, one day the gentleman here brought an old metal chest, you see.
I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Winterbank.
For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir, not a farthing more.
It houses something of great value indeed. The latest manuscript, recounting the adventures of one of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
I beg your pardon? A manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript?
Indeed I do, for I am confident it will be quite safe here.
And that was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? Do I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this?
I continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings securely.
Of course, sir, of course. They are safe and sound with me, I assure you, on my life. This is all very strange. I wonder, could I ask you for something? Ah, a gentleman from the east, I see. Yes, that stable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6 pence for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull. Sorry? Aha, but for your splendid attire, ma'am. 5 guineas, no less. The colors are exquisite, the design exotic. Eastern artistry at its finest, I must say.
Oh my, 5 guineas you say? How interesting.
Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokers are used rather like banks here in London. Yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilize the establishment as you describe. I appraise their items and offer them a proportionate loan and 2 months of secure stowage. If, in that time, they repay the original sum to me plus the agreed interest, their items are happily returned.
But what happens if they don't pay you the money?
Then the items are offered for sale in my shop, as you can see on the shelves behind me.
So you never sell items before the 2 months has passed then?
That's right, ma'am, that's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should a customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is for me to end it all.
The very idea, Mr. Winterbank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually.
Says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die only this morning.
And let us not forget that I have already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs.
Oh, what sort of measures?
I engineered a simple device, which Mr. Winterbank has installed here in his shop. I call it the Red-Handed Recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Winterbank?
What was that deep sigh about? What on earth is a red-handed recorder?
Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device. Very astute. It is indeed a camera furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop.
Here, I have an example I can show you.
Ah yes, a print for the camera set to record the activity at the shop counter. I developed a special type of film so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image even in darkness.
Really? That's extraordinary.
Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind him. Look.
So you see, were someone to enter the premise with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed.
But did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals?
Indeed, as you say, my dear madam.
Then what if the incident were to occur in between times?
One could only say, that would be a cruel twist of fate.
I must confess, your devices have been giving me some calls of distress as of late.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Winterbank. Surely there are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word.
It's the cost of the film, sir. You must graciously place not one but 2 cameras in my shop after all, which means I must pay for nigh on 100 and utterly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older.
Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbrokery, no? My dear fellows, we verge on an age where safety and security come at a price.
Oh, heaven help us. Now then, Mr. Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin.
Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Winterbank.
Perhaps this might mark the end of the peculiar items you try to pop, Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this would be the only answer. I really think you ought to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not. Sorry? I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be harmed. That's not really what I meant.
Good day to you then, Mr. Winterbank.
It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, now we can explore at last.
There seems to be a little door hidden behind that curtain there.
That leads to the storage room, where Mr. Winterbank keeps articles that are currently in pawn.
Ah, I see.
There's nothing of particular interest inside. I certainly wouldn't recommend any larcenous activity.
Recommend it or not, it's not something I tend to do.
There is but one key, and Mr. Winterbank keeps it in his pockets at all times. Before he sleeps, he places it into a small pot, which he slides under his pillow.
How on earth do you know about that, Mr. Sholmes?
I am a detective, sir. It is my business to know what others do not. I am frequently assailed by information that I neither care for nor wish to retain.
Mr. Sholmes, you are a wonder.
And the prime suspect if this pawnbrokery is ever burgled.
Look at that enormous ledger on the counter there.
Mr. Winterbank is, if nothing else, very particular about recording the items he accepts.
He'd have to be, otherwise he'd get himself into all sorts of trouble. Which might explain the thing that catches my eye far more than the ledger. This revolver here.
Do not entertain even a single thought of pilfering an article, Heron. Heron, my dear fellow. I assure you, Mr. Winterbank will not hesitate to draw that weapon with a speed belying his portly size.
Oh, you do not mean he'd...
Blow his brains out, indeed, in recompense for his blunder.
Oh.
Oh my. But in any case, of course we would never do such a thing. How could you even suggest it? Look at this. Look at this lovely big shiny box bee.
That, my dear madam, is a music box. Surely you have such things in your own country.
Oh my, yes, but I've certainly never seen one so large before.
Shall we listen a while?
It's a jukebox.
Ah, what a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels.
I never heard anything like it before in my life.
This particular specimen is of the larger variety, commonly found in public houses and restaurants. There is a metal disc inside on which the notes to be played are recorded. Simply by replacing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played.
My goodness, what a simply delightful machine.
Indeed, though their popularity has waned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course.
Science and technology advance at such an overwhelming pace. What an assortment of things there are on the shelves here. Crockery, footwear, clocks, and watches. Almost anything you care to imagine.
Those are forfeited items offered for sale by the pawnbroker.
What does that really mean, though?
When you pawn or colloquially pop an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the item for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he is free to display it in a shop for sale, at a price of his choosing.
Oh yes, now you've explained it. I'm noticing little price tags on everything.
Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest on the loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow.
My treasured university uniform? Never. It embodies my student spirit. We just look the other side. Now, what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does? It seems to have two little windows for looking through.
Allow me to enlighten you, my dear fellows. What you're looking at is a stereoscope.
A stereo... Fascinating.
It is aptly named, I assure you. Look through the eyepieces and see for yourself.
Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I just have a look.
Just before you do, there is something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically, as it were, you will need to be cross-eyed. However, if that is beyond you, it is of little consequence today.
Alright then, I'm going to try it.
Mr. Dorado, you must see, at once.
Alright then. So I need to be cross-eyed, like I'm trying to look at my own nose? What the? I don't believe it. It's just a photographic print, but it seems like you could reach out and touch it.
Yes, the sense of depth is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are one of London's many facts. They are often found in little stalls in the park. People queue for hours to see them.
Why? Why are people meddling with such black magic?
It is no magic, my dear madam. It is, well, far too complicated to explain at present. We shall save this lesson for another day.
Oh. Or he just might not know it and how it works. That's not a calendar you could easily miss, is it? 15th of April, today's date. Yes, that's not for sale, I must point out. It is an Eastern-style page-a-day calendar. Every night at midnight I tear off the front page to reveal the following day's date.
The perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Winterbank.
And who was it who walked out of here with the wrong violin before? Well, when the agreed storage period has passed without repayment, articles are forfeited, you see. So I have to keep a close eye on the date. It is something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say. Oh, yes.
Yes, I can see you're very dedicated to your job. Look at this. Whatever could it be used for?
I have no idea.
Ah. There's a small catch here, look.
We're going to open it, aren't we?
Oh my, that's amazing. It has some sort of spring-loaded mechanism.
Which we'll never manage to put back to the way it was before.
What are you two doing?
What? Us? Nothing? No, nothing at all. Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. I feel as though I've seen something rather similar to this elsewhere.
What? Only tuppence for it? That ain't fair, and you know it. The article's barely worth a penny, miss. I can't offer more.
Hey, Zane. Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter. Oh wait, is it the girl? Is it Gina?
Come on, that can't be right. Have you even had a proper butcher's at it? I've seen all I need to see.
Oh, I've seen all I need to see, young girl. Ah, it is Gina. Wait, don't we know? I'm sure I recognize her.
Oh yes, it's the young lady from Mr. McGilda's trial 2 months ago.
Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She is a character and a trust right across among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. Gordon Bennett, you lot!
Hello, Miss Lestrade. I hope you've been well.
What? You remember me then, do ya?
Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure.
So, what are you doing in here? Down and out, like the rest of us. Nothing to eat. Come to pop that black weasel sorry coat of ya.
What is it about this black uniform that makes everyone's comment on it?
Ah, good day, unless I'm much mistaken. You would be the young pickpocket who stole our experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. So you have something of value to pawn, do you? Allow me to see the article, and I shall negotiate with Mr. Winterbank on your behalf. Pull the other one. I don't need no help from some stuck-up D. Get out of my business. Go on, or I'm in trouble for ya. As you wish, Miss Lestrade. I would happily remove myself from your presence.
He's really done it. He's gone. I'm sorry, but as I said, there really is no room for negotiation here. What is that thing that he has in his hands? Some kind of metal disc?
And you, go on. Leave me alone.
Oh, Miss Lestrade, just pretend we aren't here. We shan't be offended in the slightest.
Susanna-san can really stand her ground when she wants to.
Whatever.
Somehow I didn't really think you were the sort of person who'd use a pawnbroker, Miss Lestrade.
Yeah, well, I am, alright? I'm a Londoner, just like everyone else. Is that not a problem, is it?
No, not at all. It's just that, well...
Oh, I get it. I know what you're thinking. That thing probably don't even belong to her. Probably caught her on the dive, didn't she? Yeah, I can see it written all over your Chevy Chase.
Well, I might have been thinking something along those lines.
You're not going to deny it, Mr. Naruto?
Alright then, I'm just gonna come out and ask you straight. Do you pawn things that you steal from other people?
Well,
I don't know. Oh, I don't know best answer to that really. Suppose sometimes. You're not going to deny either, Mr. Lestrade. But not this time, alright? I swear, that thing belongs to me. The disc that Mr. Winterbank is holding. As we should see what he has to say about all this. Mr. Winterbank, what exactly is this metal disc that Miss Lestrade has brought in? It seems to have hundreds of tiny little bumps on its surface.
Ah, this is a music disc, you see. For use inside a music box. In a music box?
What? You don't even know what a music box is? Tch, you Eastern lot ain't too savvy, eh?
I know what a music box is. I've just never seen one of these discs before. The small protrusions on the middle disc encode the tune to be played by the music box. You simply insert the disc and set the machine going, and the beautiful music plays.
So incredible. Tell us, what tune is on this disc?
Well, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. There are so many different types of music boxes, you see. British made, German, Swiss. I have no way of knowing which particular machine this disc was made for. Ah, I see. And that's it in a nutshell. I wouldn't have any customers for an item like this, even if the young lady forfeited it. Really, I'm offering more than I should at a penny.
That's a packet of lies. He told me. He did. He said it was, well...
He? Who?
Never you mind. It just ain't right, that's all. That disc worth good money. I know it is.
Well then, you'll have to try your luck at another pawnbroker's, won't you?
Ah!
She's been in before, of course. This little tatterdemalion. I see. And brought some dubious article or other with her every single time, I might add.
Dubious? What are you trying to say? I'm an honest customer. Me.
So, is there something dubious about the disc she brought in today? Well, if only it were that simple. Sorry? What do you mean? What she actually brought in was a storage ticket.
A storage ticket, so... Miss Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. A girl like me has a lot of stuff what needs storing.
Alright, yes, that's definitely dubious. The article in question would have been forfeited at midnight tonight. But as she gave me the ticket for it and repaid both the loan and the interest, I was obliged to return the article to her.
But what was the article? Do tell us, Mr. Winterbank.
The little scamp is wearing it, ma'am. It's the overcoat that she redeemed. Oh.
What? What's wrong with it? It fits, don't it? I mean, it's mine, so of course it does. So what about the disc then? How does that come into all this?
Ah, the disc is something else. A new article to pawn, if the girl and I can agree a price. I'm confused. I thought you said that Mr. Lestrade brought in a storage ticket today. It's really quite simple. Yes, the child brought me a storage ticket and the money owed on it, as you say. But this heavy black coat, which you returned her to her care, as I understood it. That's right, yes. And rather unsurprisingly, as soon as the little ragamuffin put the thing on, she went rifling through the pockets. Oh, you mean...
What? Don't you know it's rude to stare at a lady? Ah, I see. So it came from the pocket of the overcoat, did it?
If you mean this disc, then yes, exactly, ma'am.
And she immediately tried to pawn it.
For quite a high price as well. This is all rather suspicious, I think.
Give it up! I'm just trying to pawn something like anyone else would. Mr. Strahd, may I ask who deposited the overcoat here in the first place? Well, me.
It doesn't really appear to be your size.
Me old man! It's me old man, ain't it? Is it, Mr. Strahd?
Yes, this is definitely all rather suspicious.
Out of my way, please.
Who's this picture postcard English gentleman? Good day to you, ladies, gentlemen.
What's your problem, eh?
There is no problem. As long as you remove yourself, I have a matter to discuss with the proprietor. And if you intend to make a problem of it, I shall see you outside, little girl, for hiding you deserve. For the hiding you deserve.
Look, ain't it obvious? I ain't done talking with him yet. If you think you're such a gent, you should know to wait in line.
Well, you are an impudent little brat, aren't you? As well as a pickpocket.
Eh? Who are you? How do you know who I am?
The question is, how do you not know who I am? You haven't the courtesy to even remember the faces of your victims, it seems.
What? You mean from you?
Broker?
Yes, sir?
I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no?
Yes,
The article in question belongs to me. I demand it for it to be returned at once.
Oh my. Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull?
Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. But needless to say, any music box disc too.
No, you can't have it. You just can't. It's me old man's, or it was. Now it's mine.
Goodness, Mr. Naruto.
This is a very awkward situation.
Yes, I think perhaps we should hear both sides of the story in a little more detail.
Mr. Strahd, is what the gentleman is saying. What do you think? It's all lies, ain't it? Obviously. I swear to my life, I ain't never laid eyes on that dandy before.
Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? That ticket you brought in here just now.
No, I swear it. I swear to God.
It was barely an hour ago. I was walking along the street minding my own business when this little gutterling ran into me. I knew at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pickpockets. Yet again. Oh yes. As you can see, I'm a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time that I've been targeted by these backslummed scoundrels. Now then, relinquish my overcoat.
Gah.
Come along now, Mr. Strahd. Give the good gentleman his coat back. You're going to cause trouble. I shall have no choice but to call the police.
Hold on. Why does everyone think it's me? Just look at this dandy cab. You think I'm the dodgy one?
I'm sorry, but no one's going to believe you.
Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence I have stolen something, eh? Come on, let's see it.
Oh, I have evidence, naturally.
You what?
Evidence that the article Mr. Strata redeemed actually belongs to this gentleman.
Of course, we need only consult Mr. Winterbank's ledger to know the truth. We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place.
Yes, brilliant.
I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible.
Oh,
I never ask customers' names. It's a strict policy of mine.
But why not?
Well now, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity.
yes, I see. But then how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it?
Oh, it's quite simple. Good sir, might I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question? Of course, it's Professor. Yes, that's right, and all the evidence we need. This gentleman is the rightful owner of the article, without a doubt.
A watchword. Interesting.
So, about these watchwords, Mr. Winterbank. As I just explained, I never ask customers' names when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why. Certain customers would like to keep their activities secret. That wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes now, was it?
Great detectives have no dark secrets. None at all.
Yes, well, anyway, that's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept a new article. In many ways, it's like the secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. The date of deposit, a description, and a watchword uniquely identify each item. And of course then, I gave the storage ticket to each customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword. And if someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article? That's right, sir. Yes, just as soon as the requisite fee is paid. And I have supplied you with the information you require already, but for the avoidance of doubt, the article in question is an overcoat deposited 2 months ago on the 15th of February. With a watchword of Professor. All perfectly correct information, sir.
But how?
Really, this is beyond a joke now. There's no further room for doubt. Excuse me, but who are you? One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you are not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you.
Oh, sorry, yes. We're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here.
Oh yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. What are these moves? Its inhabitants live on some fiery brown-colored soup dressed up with exotic spices.
You might be thinking of somewhere else. What was that theatrical gesticulation about?
Perhaps. Anyway, if you are a gentleman, sir, you offer your own name first before inquiring after the name of another?
Of course, yes. I'm Mirunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer. Well, a student of law, really.
My name is Susato Mikotoba. I am Mr. Naruhodo's assistant.
I see. My name is Benedict. Yes, Eggert Benedict.
Eggs Benedict, oh my god.
Enchante. He's so refined in how he holds himself and how he speaks, but that name is suspicious. Now to the matter at hand. What is my overcoat? Return it at once to someone with the style to carry it off.
Yeah, every move he makes, every breath he takes, I can't stand watching him.
Okay. So, let that be an end to the matter. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Eggert Benedict, sir. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back.
Tish, this is why I hate grown-ups. Just cause I'm a diver, everyone thinks that makes me a liar.
And the contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker. But of course, sir. Here's the disc for you. Just this one? Pardon, sir? I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another.
Another disc?
Oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that what was deposited with me was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. So, Gutterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, are you?
Says who, eh? I know nothing about it.
Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style.
Wait a minute, that disc is mine.
Oh shit. Gah! What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal.
Oh my, yes, there's blood on the disc.
It's because of all those sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them.
I found it first, alright? I mean, it belonged to me old man. So you're not having it. Oi, you, take it.
Me?
If I hang on to it, they'll have it on me again. So you keep hold of it.
Mr. Stride, why is this so important to her? You there in the black livery. Be right back. Alright, I'm back. Here we go. Hand that dish to me at once, please.
No, don't! He's lying! Grown-ups are all liars!
Ugh, what do I do now? How am I going to resolve this? We do a civil case. I'm just kidding. Sholmes, we'll help here. I did not mean to push that. I did not mean to do that. I meant to switch to the next screen. Hold on. No! Oh, god damn it. Yeah, shut up. I'm trying to get the arrow. There we go. Sholmes? Mr. Sholmes? What are you examining with such keen interest there? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see.
So, you found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo.
Sorry?
After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows, cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship. I had nothing to occupy my mind, but was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So, feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, this 7% solution of caramel. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely.
Then why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know?
Yes, I have heard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered.
You really were sad, weren't you?
Poor Mr. Sholmes, I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again. My dear madam, sometimes I wonder, were my genius for deduction to be commoditized? How much could I pawn it for?
It seems the Sholmes has had another one of his flashes of inspiration. But who knows if it will help to resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman? What's the right thing to do here? Listen to the deduction.
Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. Where the blue blazer have you been, eh? Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, a true gent's supposed to be here to help. Straight away, not an hour later.
Harsh. And who, pray tell, are you?
Mr. Eggert Benedict, you have, in my eyes, a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Nevertheless, there are two immovable conclusions I have drawn.
I beg your pardon?
The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something that you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation, one you will orchestrate with the intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions?
How?
He's turned white as a hard-boiled egg. I was saying that once again. Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction.
Just who do you think you are, sir?
Ah, yes, as I hoped. That is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. So, shall we begin?
Oh yeah, so far my favorite minigame in this game.
The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes logic and reasoning spectacular.
The Great Deduction.
The game is afoot.
Topic 1.
Mystery Man's aim?
First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocketeer, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement from this very shop. Yet even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction.
What utter rot? I've had this cane for years.
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule. At the end of any walking cane, it would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. And yet, detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of this stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there is only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle? Mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod. It's the broken handle of a shovel.
What? Are you insane?
And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath its premises. What a calculated crime you have conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime.
Conclusion: to tunnel underneath the pawnbrokery. Topic 2. Great crime.
Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning.
This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose. Save for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason could I have to do as you say?
Oh, but there is an ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped.
What?
Let us consider what would motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. This letter gives notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewerage works, beneath this shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs underneath the bank of the opposite side of the road.
This madness has entered the sewers now, has it?
By excavating the ground beneath your feet, you would gain access to the waterway that flows in very close proximity to the great vault of the financial institution opposite.
What are you?
In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels.
Master plan?
Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from this underground vault of the bank?
Are you quite serious?
Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know.
A postcard of the Great Exhibition. I'm afraid you quite lost me.
Currently, in the final stages of preparation, the Great Exhibition will soon be underway, and the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault of the bank, on the other side of this road.
Pardon?
Yes, the considerable crime you have been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of the bank, the special reserves fund for the Great Exhibition. Of course, that is top secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please.
Conclusion. To steal the Great Exhibit's reserve funds.
Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle.
Mr. Sholmes?
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree?
Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault?
Indeed, though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me, in the strictest confidence.
But you just announced it to everyone here, rather loudly in fact.
Ah!
And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it?
There can be but one explanation for that. Clearly it is because the man is a criminal.
But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he's a criminal as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you revealed the secret.
Oh!
Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Windibank will. He already has plenty of shovels here after all. Oh my life, I assure you I'm not so unscrupulous.
Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to the secrets won't disclose them, and once the word is out, it's out.
Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes.
An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo. An excellent idea.
Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yes, let's listen to that great deduction again and see if we can massage it into shape.
Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular.
Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Here we go. Topic 1.
First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocketeer, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer.
So, by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor? Yes, in an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is, where? What did Mr. Benedict here at this What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Oh, what do we have here? Oh. Look at all the scribbled notes in the back of the fly here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness, there's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although, if he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Winterbank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street, redemption deadline, 15th April. Which is today's date. Why would Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled in the back of that piece of paper? You know, let's do a funny and analyze this cane. That's a proper English gentleman's cane, isn't it? Look at the beautifully polished brass on the handle. Yes, but Mr. Sholmes is right. It's not the sort of handle you usually see on a cane. Perhaps it's the latest London fashion. I mean, that's just guesswork, of course. Perhaps you could adopt a cane, Mr. Nadahodo. It might rather suit you. I have a feeling it might argue with the sword around my waist. Yeah.
Take that!
Yes, what brought you to the shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade.
Quite so, my dear fellow. It would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket Miss Lestrade and to Mr. Winterbank's pawnbrokery here.
You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you.
But that, sir, is a thinly veiled lie.
It is the information on the back of the fly that led you here today, by which I mean here to Winterbank's pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat.
So, you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive.
Huh.
And you've gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction.
What utter rot! I've had this cane for years.
The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the missing ferrule.
What's a ferrule?
It's the metal cap commonly found in the end of the cane, Mr. Nadahodo.
Ah, the bit that makes the nice clacking sound on the pavement?
Yes, exactly. And Mr. Sholmes is right. It appears to be missing on this cane.
But it doesn't actually look broken, does it?
No, it doesn't. Though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious.
In other words, there's something secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. Look here, Mrs. Sato. There are some letters on the handle. I like how he's just standing there perfectly still while we just look at all the shit on him.
Ah, yes, those must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names.
So Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean?
That's right. And the initials on this cane obviously...
Oh. AG. Why does this feel as though this is not quite right? Yeah, because we know his name is Egbert Benedict.
Take that!
Here we go. The contradiction of which I speak is, of course, the initialing.
A most astute observation, won't you say, Mr. Egbert Benedict? We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner, you have grasped in your hand a cane that bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed. Would you not agree?
No, you're wrong. This cane isn't... You said it before that you had the cane for years. Grr. So don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park.
In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name.
What's the tearing sound?
You recoil, sir. Is something wrong?
Alright.
And in your recoiling, you would inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding the riddle you see.
Let's consider the bare bones of what happened here. Miss Lestrade redeemed that fine-looking overcoat, and now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him.
But we know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue.
So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Oh, that's a tear.
Oh, the seam on the shoulder is coming apart, look.
So it is.
Do you know, a moment ago when Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said, I thought I'd heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded like a tiny growl, but now I think it was probably the sound of the seam ripping open.
If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and you wouldn't have any hope of fastening it at the front. If you were to run around with it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart.
I'd like to see.
Sorry?
So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around?
She's really giving this some thought.
Take that!
The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding the riddle you see.
Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit.
Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart.
My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket, this catalogue of untruths has been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windibank.
Man, he did a little twirl as well.
But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed.
Conclusion: to abscond with a redeemed item. Solved. Now on to topic 2.
Now, what is this great crime?
Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning.
This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed to wheeze a filch some tawdry article of ponage? Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner, using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place, how could I possibly have known the relevant details? N'est-ce pas?
Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too aware, Mr. Benedict. And your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped.
What?
Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawn property of another. The method is revealed by the council notice on the counter to which your eyes were—
Yeah, no, it's not.
The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think.
Yes, no more talk of tunneling into the sewers. Which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword.
Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windibank would have never allowed you to redeem the article.
Or, looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Windibank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, would this gentleman have found the Could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? This is Mr. Winterbank's gun.
Yes, loaded with only one bullet, it said. It would appear that being a pawnbroker is a very life or death profession.
That might just be this particular establishment. Look at this, Mr. Sato.
Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Winterbank has scribbled to himself.
Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Winterbank must have make note of the watchwords his customers give to him right before their eyes. And an alarmingly clear script as well.
Oh dear, I don't know where to look. Who knows what's all the secrets I might see?
Take that!
The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn.
Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response on a notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question.
I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker.
But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages.
What are you talking about?
It is increasingly apparent that you were present in the shop before your accusation against Mr. Strahd. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and observed her talking to Mr. Winterbank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on the notelet beside the ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Miss Lestrade.
Master plan?
Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker?
Are you quite serious?
One ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had a very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know.
The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets.
Which, according to Mr. Winterbank, isn't even worth a penny.
And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why?
I wonder, perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain to Mr. Naruhodo.
Could we? Really? But have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. Let's take a good look at this. Look at all the little bumps in the disc. They're so tiny.
Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the combs to make notes. And just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood.
Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Egbert Benedict.
When Mr. Lestrade tried to grab the disc from him, the pin scratched his fingers, it seemed. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger.
Ouch! Just thinking about it hurts. And it puts me off eating radish. What's on the back of the disc? Ooh! Mr. McGilded?
Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc. Look! And it's scribbled a word or two. It looks like somebody's name. For McGilded.
McGilded? It couldn't be.
But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget, for as long as I live.
I'll be right back.
Okay, we're back. But why? Why is his name on this? And present. You see, the music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back?
It reads for McGilded. Ah, Mr. Magnus McGilded, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in the curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate?
Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you squeezed yourself into.
Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eckert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded.
To acquire an item deposited by Mr. McGilded. Solved. Deduction complete.
Elementary. Well, well, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances.
Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind.
Pray tell, Mr. Sato.
Well, according to what Mr. Winterberg told us earlier, today was the final day on which the gold could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today's the 15th of April, so 2 months ago today. Would have been 15th February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see.
What? But that suggests...
Yes, 15th of February is precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening is precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding.
Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence.
The hell?
You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However... Oh, I must insist you hand over the music box disc now.
Oh shit, he's got a gun.
It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box.
What do I do?
What's the chance of the main protagonist dying in an Ace Attorney game?
There are some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. And again, it may not.
Hold it!
Mr. Winterbank!
This is my shop. I cannot allow any harm come to my customers, and if that were to happen, I should have to take my own life. I thought you were to point the gun at him. Bro, why are you pointing the gun at him? At yourself? You should be pointing at him.
Mr. Winterbank, no!
Alright, that's enough. Who said that?
Alright, that's enough. Inspector Gregson.
Inspector?
That's right, sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines, so we got here as fast as we could. Now, what's all this about, eh?
Oh, praise be, you're here at last. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life in my very own establishment.
Well, you can clearly see the gentleman pointing that gun at my face. It would seem you have the upper hand.
Right, you lot have some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argument.
Petty? Mr. Wonderback very nearly met with his end.
Yeah, by his own gun as far as I can tell.
Oh dear.
And the whole Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of this case I'm supposed to be working on.
What? What on earth is the case, Inspector?
Spare no details, Gregson.
I might have said a little too much. No matter, it's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station.
But of course, Inspector.
He's getting away, sir. Get after him, lads.
Oh, get after him, lads. Whistle the beat officer too.
Sir! I thought it was gonna be the other guys, but no, it's still Gregson. Damn, he really made a run for it.
There's been a spate of thefts at pawn shops around here recently, so we fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble.
Ah, and that's how we informed him. Okay, so, yeah, because I was like, when did he have the time to inform the police? Oh, because he had the button, alright. The panic button. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed.
Now then, Mr. Permanently in mourning.
Oh, yes?
I'll be taking whatever it is of Mr. McGillis down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over.
Oh, yes, of course.
No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is, mine.
I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to Mr. McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now.
As evidence?
If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It is all yours, Inspector.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the police. Yeah, we gotta hand over the evidence, man. And so we handed Mr. McGillet's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and we were summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the street. To be continued. Well, I think that'll mark the end of the stream here. Oh man, we got a really long investigation segment from the looks of things, because we're already heading into investigation part 2. Well, I wonder what's going to be in the next part. But yeah, farewell for now. See you in the next stream.